This is DJ Dr. Chris.
And it's your favorite nurse practitioner, Bree.
This is our first episode, and we're going to talk about why we decided to do this podcast.
And then we're going to open up a bottle of wine and see what comes out. This is Poppin' Bottles.
Let's get it started. Okay, this is the Rehab Corner. I'm Dr. Chris. I'm going to talk about how I got into PT and the DJ thing. So my story starts, I have a lot of stories. Let's start in high school, all right? I graduated in 95. Played hockey, lacrosse, ran cross country. Was always into athletics and kind of thought about becoming a PT, but wasn't so sure about it yet. Went to UMass Amherst. I ended up playing lacrosse there. At that point in my life, all I cared about was lacrosse. My lacrosse career ended, and then I did a year abroad in London. So actually, I got an apartment with a bunch of high school friends. We all decided to do a year abroad at the same time. And London, so that was 98. So the electronic music scene was really blossoming then. So that's where I started going to some clubs, hearing that music, getting used to it. It was just, it was an awesome vibe, and I kind of fell in love with it. Graduated in 2000 and then moved to Boston. And for years I was just bartending and then saving money and then quitting and traveling. I kept doing that with the Philippines at one point. And then after a few years of doing that, I decided to move to California. I moved to California, to San Francisco. And this is right when the bubble had burst, the internet bubble. And it was like impossible for me to get a job. I couldn't even get a job at Starbucks, and I had Starbucks experience. So I ended up taking a job, that's true. I ended up taking a job as a carpenter, and I was a total rookie. I was, I didn't really know anything about carpentry. It's just that was the first job I could get. So 2 weeks into the job, I managed to fall down an elevator shaft.
Wow.
I fell 4 floors. So let me back up. So I was doing like trim work, measuring like door frame trim and baseboard, things like that. And I was working on a $13 million home in Pacific Heights. They're installing an elevator, so it's just an open shaft, no elevator in it yet. While measuring the trim, somehow I fell in from the top floor, from the 4th floor. The only reason I'm alive is because halfway down the elevator shaft, there was a piece of plywood laid across. So I fell through that, broke through that, it slowed my fall. And I landed on my hockey butt, and that also saved my life. But I did fracture my pelvis, L1 vertebrae, and my left wrist. My wrist still makes all kinds of fun sounds. Went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for about 24 hours, got terrible health care. I was in a hallway for basically the whole time. They took an MRI. They missed a couple fractures. They told me my pelvis was fractured. They gave me a cane and a prescription for opioids and sent me on my way. So then I went back to my apartment, and I basically sat there for a good month. I was basically just taking Vicodin, and I was in pain. It would take me like an hour or two to get out of bed in the morning. It was miserable. So after about a month or two of that, I decided to move back home to Falmouth, Massachusetts, where my parents were living, and go see my family doctor because things were just not right. So I told my family doctor, I think I broke my wrist, but I think they missed it. He looks at my images and says, yeah, you did, you're right, and you also broke a vertebrae in your back. He took new images, and luckily things just happened to heal right. So I never had a cast, no surgery or anything like that. But I was still in a lot of pain. So at that point, I decided to do something about it, and I went to physical therapy. And probably 3 months or so of intense physical therapy really got me on my track, and maybe another 5 months of staying consistent with exercising. So I went into PT basically overweight because I put on maybe 40 pounds, depressed. I wasn't doing anything besides sitting on a couch all day. 8 months later, I was in the best shape of my life. I had 8-pack at that point, 0 pain. Now I did have youth on my side. I was in my mid-20s or so. So at that point, what happened? So then I started going to Montreal with a group of friends. And so I had this sort of passion for the electronic music scene, and we would go up like once a month to Montreal, hit the clubs, hear some good music. And I specifically remember a point where something about the music, it just lifted me up, and the clouds had cleared, the depression was gone, and I just felt like I was back to my normal self. So I always had this sort of duality where I knew I kind of wanted to be a physical therapist because physical therapy completely changed my mind, but I also had this passion for music. So for about 10 years, I got into DJing and a little bit of sound production. Spent some time DJing in Boston, then moved to Miami because it was at that time the music scene was great in Miami. And then spent a good 5 years or so in Miami DJing. Now, in that time, I was sort of slowly working away at becoming a physical therapist, meaning I had to take all my prerequisites just to apply to school. So I applied, got into Florida Gulf Coast University, and I made my way west. And that's where my whole career started. Graduated in 2013. I still have the love for the music, although I don't really DJ anywhere besides in my shed. And now I'm just a physical therapist.
And that's where I come in at. So my name is Brianne, but you can call me Bree for short. And I am a nurse practitioner. So that means I went to school for at least 6 years. I had to perform a certain amount of practicum hours, and then I graduated with my master's degree, and I became a nurse practitioner. So to back up just a little bit, I went to Clemson University undergrad, got my BSN in nursing. I worked as a RN on the floor for, I'd say, about 4 years with pulmonary renal, and then I decided I wanted to go back to school because my friend asked me to. Didn't think I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. She was just tired of having to depend on the physicians with orders and not being able to get the proper health care. Physicians are utterly amazing. They're so smart, and I have the utmost respect for them. But sometimes you're so busy and overwhelmed, little things get missed. So this is why we decided that we were going to go back to school, and we did. Took us 2 years, like I said, plus doing practicum and hours and a lot of studying. But we finally, got everything together, and this is why I'm a nurse practitioner today, because I want to help people. So fast forward 3 years, I met this guy. He's amazing, and we decided to move in together, so he brought me down to Naples. I applied for this job at Synergy Health, and this is where I met Dr. Chris. So we, became friends. We were talking and had a couple of discussions about why is healthcare the way it is, why some people have better healthcare than other people, and we were like, it shouldn't be like that. Everyone should have the same information, education, evidence-based education that one person does. No one should have a better quality of health than anyone else. So gave us an idea. Podcasts are all the rage right now, and I was like, we should make one. We should just do it. And we should drink wine to make it even better. So this is where Poppin Bottles came into play. Chris is a physical therapist. He's a doctor in physical therapy, and I'm a nurse practitioner. And we decided to come together to discuss holistic health. It's not just about medicine, and it's not just about therapy, but it's about how you can integrate both of them together to better yourself as a whole. And we just like wine, and drinking and talking is just fun. So this is how Poppin Bottles came to be.
Yeah, so our format will typically be, I'm going to do something physical therapy related. We'll call that the rehab corner. Bree will talk about, go ahead.
And then in my little area is your weekly dose of Bree. So, you always take a pill. You can take a pill daily. You can take a pill weekly. You get to have a dose of me every week, and I will talk about medicine or different ailments that could affect your body. And then in the end...
Well, we'll get to that in a second, because we are going to have some guests at times, right? Any kind of people that influence the healthcare system here in Florida. We'll probably be doing some interviews with them.
And former patients as well that has gone through a certain specific topic that we may be discussing that week, so they can give you their point of view.
Right. And then at the end, as you were saying,
we get to pop open a bottle of either wine or myself, because sometimes on a diet, alcohol, like more of a hard liquor, like vodka usually for me. But
sometimes tequila.
Yeah, it depends on whatever the hype is for that week. We're going to pop that open, just discuss about the label, the brand, and why we chose it, and discuss our feelings and what's going on in our life, because that's also has a lot to do with healthcare. and letting yourself vent, because it's an emotional, mental, and sometimes physical issue that a lot of people have. So,
And we'll also, from time to time, do some wine trivia and test each other on our wine knowledge.
I agree with that. I think that would be fun. So,
Yes.
it's just an all around fun listening episodes that we just want people to enjoy and hopefully can improve their health if the issue applies to you.
So without further ado, shall we pop open a bottle?
I think we should.
Okay, Bree, so tell me what got you into wine?
Oh, Chris, I wish it was some kind of magical moment, but I was just a drunk college kid.
Okay.
I was drinking Arbor Mist or Boone's Farm, if not boxed wine. And then one day my friend said, we got to reform that palate.
Okay, so you started off in like the white zin world. Is that what that is?
I did, and I won't touch the stuff to this day.
Too many hangovers?
Or just feeling crappy. But, I mean, to each their own. Some people love white zin. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, okay. So what do you like mostly these days? So whites, reds? Where is your passion?
It depends on the mood that I'm in. If it's during the day, I'm more of a white rosé girl. But at night, I love a good glass of a Pinot Noir or a Malbec or Syrah. Just depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I like the heavier bodies, sometimes the light bodies, so that way I'm not too full. Mm-hmm. So,
okay.
What about you, Chris?
Well, as I mentioned before, I was a bartender for years. I worked at this restaurant in Boston called Mistral. Fantastic restaurant, by the way. If you ever get a chance to go there, I highly recommend it. It's still there. I still have friends. I think it was 18 years ago, I believe, I worked there. My friends there, waiters and bartenders, are still there. That's a testament to how good that restaurant is. Anyways, so I started working there right out of college, and I didn't know anything about wine. I think I thought that you had to put red in the fridge. Like I didn't know that.
It's supposed to be a certain temperature.
Right.
It's supposed to be slightly chilled.
Right. But
it's like, don't give me no room temperature red.
Yeah, I'm trying to stick in the fridge. So anyways, I was bartending and I was learning a lot because we had these mandatory, I think it was twice a week, wine tastings. So I got to learn a lot, which definitely helps. But I just remember this one day I'm serving, it was a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. And something clicked in my brain. I said, that smells delicious. I want some. And from that day forward, I fell in love with wine. So I'm a big red drinker. Zinfandel is probably my favorite. Red Zin is my favorite grape, I would say. I love cabs. If I go to a restaurant or I don't really know the wine that well, I'm going to order a cab because it's pretty safe.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah, I do love Pinot Noir, but I feel like there's more risk involved if you don't know the wine. Mm-hmm. You could end up with a acidic glass of wine. I will occasionally drink some white. Like today, I'm drinking a Sauvignon Blanc. I love Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand in particular, or African New Zealand, African Sauvignon Blanc.
It was like African
New Zealand.
I was like, that's a new little concept.
African Sauvignon Blanc. Right now it's about 90 degrees here in Florida. I love Sauvignon Blanc on a hot day.
Me too. A nice, cool, crisp glass of white wine, or like I said, rosé, outside by the pool or by the beach, and just letting the wind get you. Like, it's my favorite time. It's probably why I've gained weight since being in Florida.
Yeah. What about Chardonnay? Are you a Chardonnay fan?
No, not really. I'll drink it, but it's not my fave.
Yeah, I'm not big into California Chard. There's certain, like a Merceau, like a French Chard's really nice, but California Chard's too buttery oaky for me, for my taste.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it for episode 0. Please subscribe, listen to us. Right now we're on SoundCloud, but we are waiting for the approval for iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play because of COVID. Yes, COVID-19 is going on. It's slowing everything down. You can find us right now on Spotify.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Thank you, Chrissy. The one's already getting to me. But yeah, we'll be doing a podcast. It drops every Wednesday of every week. The only time we may take off is during the holidays, but I doubt it because we have so much fun hanging out together.
So let's wrap this up. You can find us also on my website, which is www.dpt.services. That's dynamic-physiotherapy.services. You go right to the media link and you'll find our podcast there.
Or you can go to our IG page. That's Instagram. Our name is _poppin_bottles. We only have a few things up right now, but each week we'll be adding new content, news stories, and just getting better as we grow. So we hope to hear from you soon. We would love to have questions. If you have any questions, please DM us at the Instagram page or send us an email, or go to Chris's website and send us an email. And then that way you may also hear yourself in the future, because we want to have a segment where we do like a Q&A, so we can get interactive with everyone and hopefully educate people, and we can bring Naples and pretty soon the whole world together.
There you go. Well, this is DJ Dr. Chris.
And it's your favorite nurse practitioner, Bree.
And this is Poppin' Bottles.
Bye.